Hello viewers, you're welcome to Economy Today on TVRC. I am your host for today, Olanu Oluwatobiloba is my name. And with me here on set today, we have Dr. Akintude Sami Vincent. You're welcome, sir. It's always good to have you here with us. So today we'll be talking about a topic that has been very, very popular a while back. But just because of the recent happenings, we want to get, especially with regards to terrorism, we want to address this particular topic and get to delve deep into the cause of certain things that have been cropping up here in the north, especially in northern Nigeria. We want to talk about the Almajirai Menace, its relevance to insurgency, terrorism, and economic tension in Nigeria. So I would like to start with this question, Doctor. Who exactly are the Almajirai, and what are the roles they play in northern culture in Nigeria?
Well, without mincing words, Almajirais, they are boys, young boys who they are subservient. I mean, they abandoned the formal education for Islamic education.
Okay.
And they are popularly referred to as Sangiya. I think it's Sangiya, something like that. Sangiya form of education. So, like I said, it's just leaving one for the other, neglecting or abandoning one for the other. Even if they are subsumed in a school setting, eventually they abandon the school for the Quranic education. So it has always been over time. It has always been a kind of a problem to our society, be it all wise, economic wise, political wise. It has created a whole lot of lacuna as regards socio-economic development. And for example, when you move to most of these Almajirai boys, eventually they found their way out of their community or their cocoon into the larger society. They move from one region to another region. When you see them, sometimes they move from as far as the north to the south, as far as when you look at it from Sokoto to down there in Bayelsa or to Port Harcourt, because they have to manage their way out of. And you cannot take it out. You cannot take the fact that as a result of this kind of this Almajirai tendency to abandon formal education for Quran, and that's why they are called Almajirai boys, and they are everywhere.
Wow, what role exactly do they play in northern culture?
The role they played in northern culture, oftentimes it varies, and one of the variants is that sometimes when you see these boys, they eventually embrace the Quranic education, and they want to embrace jihad. They want to security-wise, they pose threats to the security architecture of the land and the landscape generally. So when you look at the role they play, it's on the negative side compared to that of the positive side. But some would say to them that they are able to build a culture for themselves, a community for themselves, where the Islam is at the forefront of what they do. But come to think of it, over time, when you see the backlash, the ripple effect, is that the way Islamic is being played. The way Islamic is being put to practice in Saudi Arabia is different from the way Islam is being put to practice in sub-Saharan Africa.
Very true.
For example, we all have our peculiar problems. Like in Nigeria, we are still grappling with the problem of poverty. Okay, you can compare to that of Saudi Arabia, where they are, where they have where the environment is suitable.
Yes.
They have a suitable environment for them. But here in Africa, somebody who cannot even fend for himself, the father cannot even fend for. Okay, take a look at it. It is there in the Islam that you have the capacity to take up to 4 or 5 wives. Just imagine a young boy in Nigeria today with 4 or 5 wives, with so many children. How are you going to take care of them? But outside Nigeria, maybe we're in the Middle East or in Asia, where they have a stable economy. Yeah. So if somebody can afford to to do something like that.
Wives,
All that the tenets of Islam Islam practice.
Okay.
But here we have our own peculiar situation where the economy is not stable,
And
it's
not
very
favor-
sterile,
it doesn't
and it's
favor
not.
them.
And then you want to, because you want to hide under the Islam whatsoever, then to perpetrate, to say you have the tendency you can marry, that like they used to say, like there's always like in Yoruba pantheon, that me implies that multiple, me from marrying, mefa, whatsoever, like multiple, you can take up multiple wives. It is not applicable, and it's not something we should encourage at a point in time in our economic history, where things seems to be on the high side. Inflation is very high, unemployment is very high. So when you look at the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, when you look at the poverty index, it's extremely very high. Where some people cannot even afford to take 3 square meters, and eventually you give birth to these kids. They also embrace the Islamic. They also embrace the Almajiri syndrome. They are also wired with the Almajiri syndrome, and it keeps going like that. And before you know it, will be the community of the poor people, where people cannot even manage. When you go to most of our major cities in Nigeria today, most of the capitals, for example, when you come to the western part, when you go to Lagos, go to Ikeja, you see some boys loitering around, speaking Hausas. Most of them, they are the Almajiri boys. Go to Ibadan, basically go to Iwo Road in Ibadan, you will see some Hausa boys loitering around. The Almajiri. Go to Sabo, most of all these boys, ask them where they. Some of them, they even followed. They follow like trucks.
Yes.
From the north to the west to the east. There was a point in time in the history of this Nigeria where we were told that some northerners were deported from the eastern part of this country during the period of not too long ago. They were deported because they believed that they were constituting some modicum of nuisance in that particular part of the country, which is wrong in itself. We are Nigerians. Now, any Nigerian should be able to live anywhere in this country.
Yes, indeed.
But because when we can't see people loitering around, they don't even have a place to sleep. Some of them, they sleep in the middle of the road. Some of them, they sleep where, when even the governor of the state tell you that I've not been able to take care of people in my state. How am I going to take up the people from your own referring to another governor that these are your people, they are all living. Why not take them back to your go and cater for them and take care of them? So you don't create a problem, a monumental problem that other governors will keep on we inherit from. So like I said, it's a kind of it's a situation that is hard.
That's a lot. Thank you so much, Doctor. You've been able to elaborate on the basics of how the Almajiranci system works, and some of the life these people portray out there. We are going to get back to very soon. We're going to get back to at least the economic consequence of this particular system. But before we do, I would like us to first delve into the area of insurgency and terrorism. So I want to know what exactly the Almajiranci system, how is it relevant to militancy and violence in Nigeria? Because if you can trace the roots of certain terrorists to this particular system.
Okay, when you look at there's what we call fundamentalism and extremism. So when you look at some of the Islamic religion, give room for something of this nature, give room for militancy, because there's what we call. You look at the principle of the jihadists. The jihadists believe that you have to. It's all about talking about waging war. Okay, these are what seems to be outcast in some other religions, but it's very much predominant in the Islam. They believe that you have to wage war. You have to take. Some people who are not from your religion, they are, you see them as a neophyte. They are called, you see them like somebody who does not belong to, and you have to make sure you do everything at all cost for them to stay on your own side. And if they refuse to stay on your side, then you take them out of the way. That's what we call the jihadic tendency. So when you see most of the time, because of poverty mentality, because of the poverty-stricken, because we are in a poverty-stricken environment, and you see the way these boys they are loitering around, they don't have the requisite knowledge, they don't have the requisite skill to do anything for themselves. Eventually, they become tools in the hands of this. Some of these, I wouldn't call them, some of these sages and scholars, the Islamic, some of these scholars who have the tendency to wage jihadist war. So they embrace these kids, they call them to themselves, then they send them on an errand, on suicidal mission, They send them on all manner of mission, okay, just to conquer particular environment.
Wow,
These are the
very
tendency,
interesting.
and these are the people that are. These are the boys that not in all cases. We have some extreme cases why some guys are actually handpicked. They are handpicked from the environment. You just pick them randomly like that. But basically, when you look at those who are really those some of these guys who, funny enough, we also have some extreme cases where some of these Almajiri guys, they turn out to be very good. And one of the good examples is Militancy, who happens to be the incumbent, the NNPC director.
NNPC, yes.
What I'm saying in essence is that we are all product of our background. Okay, some people, society will turn them into, we make them better. Why some society will eventually make them become what they don't want to become. But now let's go back. It's always on those who are good. They are always, they are in their minute numbers. But those the society are able to influence negatively, they are the majority. Because you just imagine a boy who is on the street, languishing in poverty, would do anything to survive.
Yes, indeed, because he has no home.
And
he has nobody to
the moment they commence that particular act, they are unable to fall back to what is to fall back to a sane system. So they eventually turn out to be terrorists. So, and we have them in their numbers. They are also the Almajiris. But like I said, this is what we are talking about taking up Quranic education. We have people who have embraced Quranic education in this country, and they are ministers. Not just ministers. We have those who are, those who eventually turn out to be the president of this country. They are the product of Almajiris, but they are in their numbers. They are minute in their numbers. So, like I said, when you look at the tenets of formal education and the tenets, idiosyncrasies surrounding the Islamic education, you see they are different. Even Christian education, they are different. Like in the Christian education, they are being told like what is being practiced in the Old Covenant is different from what is practiced in the New Covenant. In the Old Covenant, it says eye for eyes, tooth for tooth.
An eye for an
But
eye.
in the New Covenant, it says that when they slap you on the right cheek, you turn the left cheek. That is what we call when you look at that in the Islamic tenets, you see there are some. They talk about some of the hadiths, but the hadith is quite different from the Quran. Okay, they say the hadith commensurate, they are commensurate to the Quran. But Quran is always the Quran, and it's always very clear. They will tell you that take it to the Jupiter, take it to the Uranus, take it to Plato, take it to Saturn. The Quran remains the Quran. So it says this, then you have to take it to hook, line, and sinker. Even sometimes, even what the hadith is saying, they will tell you that the hadith is subservient to the Quran. So the Quran is always straightforward. So, like I said, taking up wives, numerous wives. I'm still waiting for a scholar that will, try to do a kind of that. Okay, like I said, even if Paul is in Nigeria, the way Paul will address that situation is different from the way we address the problem to the people of Romans,
Yes,
to the people of Corinthians, because problem differs. Okay, just imagine, for example, if Paul is currently looking at the situation now. Look at a region where we have no male folks. And Paul wants to write letter to them. Do you think Paul will tell them not to serve God? Or Paul will not admonish them for somebody to pick a leader among them to lead the district? I'm only giving you some practical, let's be realistic. So back to your question, we are looking at the
Almajiranci system,
Yeah.
and the insurgency.
and the insurgency. See, over time they've created, when you look at the areas where we have issues most, they are always in the north. In Nigeria, except for at the point in time during the Biosacra, where the oil is creating a whole lot of problem in the southern part of the country, and it's because of the oil, and we're so certain about it that it was because of the oil. The creeks, when we're building some militancy around our oil in the creeks. Okay, but now when you travel to the up north, you will see the way the northerners, some boys there, they are now becoming so resilient. They want to make sure that they want to do anything at all cost to fathom problem, so that eventually they will use that to acquire mass money from the government, so that they can become the lord of the ring in their own environment. And that's why oftentimes you see them. They are always, they use money to buy a whole manner of things to gather to amass wealth for themselves.
Wow, that's a lot, Doctor. Thank you so very much. That's a whole lot. Now, just to be able to finalize this particular session and just round up, I would like to ask, what exactly is now the relationship between this system, the Almajiri system, insurgency, which is a consequence eventually, and how it eventually affects the economic system of Nigeria?
See, Almajiri system requires a whole lot of scholars to. You see, religion is not something you can handle. You can live in the hands of anybody anyhow, and that's why in country like Germany, you can't live you have to have a license before you can preach.
Okay.
So when you throw the Islamic teaching open to anybody, eventually to anybody who has the capacity to brainwash, he has to condition, to indoctrinate. Eventually, this is what you eventually say. You create a problem for the society. So over time, when you see those who have been able to, those who does not have the knowledge, requisite knowledge, those who have just been playing politics with religion, these are people who have been able to brainwash and indoctrinate people over time. And those are the people creating the problem, this kind of insurgency. Because eventually you are going to be the community of terrorists who will be terrorizing the environment, and they create insurgency. And the third one is economy, yes. Right? And then when that happens, then the economy remains standstill. Till date, some parts in the northeast, the north central, and maybe part of the northwest, people have not been able to access their farms. And when they are able to access their farms, what are the people? What would the people eat? Food production would definitely be
affected.
Benue used to be the food basket of the nation. So far, for the past few years now, they've been able only to produce little because of insurgency and because of terrorist and insurgency. So what I'm saying in essence is, when you look at the link, there's a link between Islamic what's it called? Almajiri education, insurgency, and economy. They are always intertwined. They are all entangled. Like I said, when you have Almajiris who have not been thoroughly bred by good scholars. Don't forget we have Almajiris, like I said, Melekere, for a good example, is a very good. We have some of them who are good, who have been able to pass through the system, and they are good. But when you don't have those, when you have a very wrong scholars who have not been able to tutor the Almajiris very well, they end up becoming terrorists. And when they end up becoming terrorists, they create an insurgency in a particular environment. And when that is done, people when there's an insurgency in a particular environment, people are unable to access their farms. For example, security is affected. Yeah. People are unable to access their farms. And when people are unable to access their farms, they are unable to produce. They can plant. They can harvest. And if they can plant, they can harvest. Then they are unable to. When they can plant, what are they?
No production.
No food production. Very good. There won't be any food production. So economic-wise, that community will be grounded.
Very true.
So they are all intertwined. They are all entangled. So they are all linked.
Impressive. Thank you so much for helping me connect this, as well as for the viewers as well. So finally, what exactly is now the way forward? What can we do to be able to address this?
The way forward is to be human again, all of us. And we have to before say, I keep telling you that religion is a means to an end. If religion is not making you better, trash it off. No matter the religion, if it's not making you a better person, especially if it's not, tailoring you to be towards a sane environment. It's not making you a sane person. It's not making you human. That's what we call remain heart. You are not being, it's not bringing out the good in you. Then the whole essence of that religion is an effort in futility. It's an effort in futility. If a religion that will tell you to take up harm is zero. It's a zero religion. If religion is not telling you to, organize goodwill for people, it's not telling you to embrace community service, where you can do some act of charity, you can practice some act of love, you can give people hope again, and you can enhance people's faith, then that religion is zero.
Yes.
So one of the way forward is for us to embrace this humane act again, where we can all be human. You see, where we cannot if there are issues, we have to address it, not people using religion as a means to address issues, or you are using religion to address the geopolitics. Because you are unable to emerge as a winner, then you start financing some people to fathom problem so that you can make the incumbent government look bad. Because that's what happened to Jonathan's regime. President Jonathan, pumped out a lot of money to the north during that particular region.
The Boko Haram menace.
But some people in their archaic mindset, they make sure that they render that particular region, unbeatable, to the extent that even in the face of international community, Nigerians were painted blacks. Just because some people, they gathered together to make sure that they render the government hopeless, useless, and eventually that was what was used to topple the government of President Jonathan.
Yes.
People believe that now President Buhari, being a former military head, is a man that will come and solve our security problem. So, like I said, the way forward is for us to think about our environment, how we can make it safe, secured, through proper education. Okay, like I said, I'm not saying, even when you look at our the test of our religions, you see the test contained so many letters. We have to learn how to sieve, and this is where the scholars comes in. We have, for example, the Sermon on the Mount in the Bible is a very lovely one. Blessed are the peacemaker. Blessed are those who are blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Yes. When you look at the Islam, the Quran, there are so many beautiful areas there. We have to embrace all these areas, hook, line, and sinker. Like I said, how on earth are you going to say because you are a Christian, then you pitch your tent with the whole covenant? You are saying because somebody had done something wrong for you, you also have to do the same thing. Even in law, you don't cure illegality with an illegality. You don't take law to your hand. So like I said, we have to embrace proper form of education that will assist our people, help our people to live a life of tranquility, serenity, and glorious end.
Wow, that's a lot. Thank you so much, Doctor. That was a very beautiful one. There you have it, viewers, on Economy Today. I hope you had an amazing time. Thank you so much for staying with us up to this time. I remain your humble host, Olaniun Oluwatobiloba. And thank you once again, Doctor, for making our time to be with us today. Take care. Till next time.